Namaste and welcome to day 13 of the Festival of Oneness organized by Advaita Academy. Today we have two speakers, and both live sessions. The first session is by Swami Chidrupananda, who is the Acharya of the Chinmaya Mission at Noida. And Swamiji is going to talk about Laghu Vakya Vritti, a text which explains the Mahavakya, Aham Brahmasmi. A small introduction on Swamiji. Swamiji is the Acharya of the Chinmaya Mission in Noida, and he's given several talks to students and professionals from all over India. He has directed and coordinated many national projects undertaken by the Chinmaya Mission, such as the Art of Man-Making and Awakening Indians to India. He's also held special lecture series on Beyond Teaching for Teachers and for Youth under the titles Power Series and Launchpad. So I'll quickly hand over to Swamiji, who will go through this wonderful text called Laghu Vakya Vritti. Swamiji, please go ahead.
Hari Om, everybody. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Hari Om, everyone. We shall quickly see about 35 minutes or maximum 40 minutes the glimpses into Laghu Vakya Vritti of Adi Shankara. You all know there are so many Mahavakyas are there. Mahavakya means what? That sentence which reveals the identity between Jivatma and Brahmatma. So there are so many Mahavakyas are there. In the Shrutis, it is spread everywhere. But phenomenally, mainly we have taken 4 Mahavakyas, very from each Upanishad, each Veda. So one is Prajnanam Brahma, which is a Lakshana Vakya, which defines Brahman, which is from Aitareya Upanishad and it is from Rig Veda. And next is second Upadesha Vakya. It is said when Shishya goes and asks what is Brahman, the teacher says Brahman is Prajnanam Brahma. This is Aitareya Upanishad, Rig Veda. And afterwards, the teacher says Tattvamasi, you are that Brahman. It is from Chandogya Upanishad, Sama Veda. And this is called Upadesha Vakya. And then people will exchange third and fourth here and there, no problem. So third is, some people say it is Anusandhana Vakya, Ayamatma Brahma, Mandukya Upanishad, where the student goes and he reflects on this mantra. And then finally he reaches Aham Brahmasmi, which is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajurveda. So now in this beautiful presentation called Laghu Vakya Vritti, Adi Shankara, he never spends time in invocation, this and all that, Parichaya, the introduction text, nothing. Straight away he goes into the text. He says, first one, I will read couple of shlokas because of time. We cannot go through all 18 verses which we have. So I'll just go through a couple of verses only. The first verse is, Sthulo mam samayo deho sukshmasya advasana mayah jnana karmendriyasartham di pranay tat shariragau. It is said that, gross body starts with the gross body. It teaches Vedanta Aham Brahmasmi Mahavakya. So how the big Shankaracharya beautifully analyzes this subject, just be aware. Just listen. And it says it starts with gross body. The gross body is Mamsamayaha, made up of flesh, and Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, is made up of Vasanamaya, full of impressions because it is working under the impact of impressions. And Jnana Karmendriya Sartham Di Prano Tat Sharirako. And along with subtle body, along with the Jnanendriyas, that is sense organs, organs of knowledge, and Karmendriyas, organs of action, along with the Dhi, and Buddhi, and Prana, all these things actually reside in this physical body. Now, so this is the structure of the gross body and subtle body is given first. Now what is that what Bhagavan wanted to know us now? Now, Ajnanam Karanam. Next he says this Karana, the causal body, the cause for subtle body and the gross body, which we call causal body or Karana Sharira, is behind, I mean, the Ajnanam is Karana Shariram, the causal body, and Sakshi, the witness to all these things, is called Tesham Vibhasakaha, illuminator. One illumines all these things is called Sakshi, the pure consciousness. So the pure consciousness just illumines. And Bodha Abhaso Buddhigataha Kartasyat Punya Papayoho. Now here for everybody, what is this Jiva, the individual? Vedanta says the pure eternal consciousness, witness consciousness, Sakshi Chaitanya, or sometimes we refer it as Kutastha Chaitanya. Now technically we are not going into it. The infinite consciousness, Sakshi Chaitanya, witness consciousness, that reflects in Buddhi, Buddhi Vrittau. Now that is called Buddhi Bodha Abhasaha. That's the reflection of the pure consciousness in the Buddhi. What happens? That Buddhi Gataha, that one who is confined, one who is because for reflection to cause there should be a reflecting medium. So the reflecting medium is Buddhi Vritti, the thought in the Buddhi. So the Buddhi Vritti reflects that consciousness, and then what happens? This Buddhi, the reflected consciousness, once caught up in Buddhi, mysteriously, there the ego takes base. I am something separate from the original, something separate from the Sakshi. When then this kind of a thought comes, then Katrutva Bhava, Bhoktrutva Bhava, sense of doership, sense of enjoyership begins at that Bhabhasa, Chidabhasa, where that is called Jiva. Here Shankaracharya refers him as Jiva only. So that the individual, the Jiva, and he gets associated with two bhavas, Kartas Bhavati, meaning he becomes a doer. And once he becomes the doer, because why? I am separate individual, I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to be eternally happy, always happy, and therefore where will I search for happiness? Jiva. Jiva searches for happiness Swabhavataha outside. Therefore he becomes Karta. Bhagavan Shankaracharya says this reflected consciousness in Buddhi, which is Jivaha, he is actually doer, and because his sense of doership is there, he ends up doing Papa and Punya karmas. Dekhiye, Buddha Bodha Bhasau Buddhikataha Kartasyat Punya Papayoho. Then he becomes a Karta, a doer of Punya karma and Papa karma. Why Punya karma, Papa karma? Buddhi is influenced by samskaras, and therefore the Jiva is the reflected consciousness caught up in Karma Chakra. Now, so the Sola Sharira, the gross body, the subtle body is there, and the pure witness Sakshi is there. The Sakshi reflects in the Buddhi, the thought, and there that consciousness becomes Jiva, reflected consciousness, and that Jiva, he feels I am a doer, and therefore he ends up doing Punya karma and Papa karma, and therefore Punya phalam, the fruits of meritorious actions, and the fruits of the non-meritorious actions, sinful actions, and then he has to experience them, and thus he gets caught up in the wheel of action. Therefore, who is the Sakshi? Sakshi is so beautiful, sadhanam vina, without any means, directly the witnessing consciousness can illumine, and therefore the illuminator is called Bodha Swarupa, Shuddha Bodha Swarupa. And therefore the third verse, Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, Sayeva samsaret karma vashat lokadvaye sada. Very beautiful. And this Jivaha samsaret, and he becomes a samsari. Why? Because lot of prompted by ego and egocentric desires, and he performs various actions and activities, and thereby he enjoys. To enjoy certain, the body is limited, and once the body goes off, lot of vasanas are still there, samskaras are there, desires are left out. To enjoy those desires, I take another body, and when I exhaust all my vasanas, in the process of exhausting my desires, I create new desires, in order to improvise my desires. By comparing or others, I create more desires, and therefore all these things to require another physical body, because the physical body which I have taken is only meant to exhaust certain kind of desires which I demanded before my birth. But after my birth, I created new desires, and therefore, to fulfill those desires, I need another body. Thus, yesa eva samsaret, karma vashat, because of karma vashat. And where does he go? Lokadvaye, sada samsaret. Always he continuously a vagabond, wandering in the creation. From sada, lokadvaye, into lokadvaye means here and hereafter. Here also he wanders on the globe as per his desires, prompted by desires, and afterwards also, after leaving the body, he goes to another loka. And bodha abhasat shuddha bodham vivichyat atiyatnatah. Now what is the task now here? Because I have considered myself, identified myself with the reflection, Chidabhasa, reflected consciousness, and I became a Sukhi, Dukhi, Samsari. Now, what I should do? Who is this I call? Shankaracharya says, this I call, there are two I's. One is the transitory I am Sukhi, sometimes I am happy, next moment I am unhappy. So that one I which was happy is different from the other I which is identified with another dukkha, is become dukkhi. His ego is constantly dancing but maintaining his individuality, because the bundle of past memories is ego, and therefore this entity I temporarily entity, this is jivaha, is chidabhasaha, the reflected consciousness, and this is not pure I. Therefore what then? Bodha abhasat shuddha bodham vivityat. Very beautiful. Now what I should do? The task now, spiritual journey begins. Once I know that I am not the samsari, but then I am that pure eternal consciousness I came to know through the teachings of Guru. Next, my job is, how do I separate myself, the original I, the pure consciousness I am, from the reflected I, which is ego. Therefore, bodha abhasat, from this reflected consciousness, shuddha bodham, whatever is there, the pure consciousness, to be separated, vivichyat. How? Atiyatnataha. Beautiful thing. Atiyatnataha means by putting great mahan efforts. Great efforts are required, because they are the reflected consciousness and the Supreme Sakshi Chaitanya are so close to each other actually, and therefore to differentiate this transitory I is not me, samsari aham is not me, I am that Supreme Consciousness. To differentiate that, atiyatna is required, a great effort is required. That is a beauty, and therefore Suddha Bodha, the pure consciousness, has to be separated from the samsari I. Now, how to do this? Second question. So here, now we have to watch. Shankaracharya says we have to watch. How do we discriminate between this Suddha Bodha, pure consciousness, and the reflected consciousness, the ego, who is caught up in samsara? He says, Jagra Swapnayoreva Bodha Abhasa Vidambana. Now he is asking us to study the three states of consciousness, which is our experience. My experience is my waking plane, my dream state, and my deep sleep state. Now the question is that how do I experience that witness consciousness in my life? How do I realize, how do I practice that I am consciousness, supreme consciousness, and not this transmigratory changing samsari aham? So therefore, study is, Shankaracharya is asking, no, observe. What is to be observed? Jagra Swapnayoreva, in the waking state and dream state alone, Bodha Abhasa Vidambana. Vidambana means what? Activity. Activity, vyapar, transactions. And where is this jiva, who is called reflected consciousness, is constantly engaged with his bahirmukhatvam, meaning with outwardness, looking outward. Where is he actually? When is it that he is external, extroverted and actively engaged in samsara? In two states, where Jagrata Avastha, in waking state also he is Vidambanam, who is very active, doing all his vyapara, and in dream state also he is projecting his own world, and there he is active. So, Jagrat Sapnayoreva Bodha Abhasa Vidambana. Suptauta Tallaye Bodha. In Supta Avastha, in Sushipta Avastha, this Antakarana vrittis are not there. So Antakarana completely merges. Layah yati, layam yati. Or in ajnana, in avidya sthiti, in ignorance sthiti. In deep sleep state, this entire the mind and intellect is completely withdrawn. Layam yati. And when in deep sleep state, in avidya, all those things are merged. Antakarana is merged. Whenever buddhi is temporarily, for some time, mind is also attained, merged into avidya sthiti. At that moment, what is happening? Sakshi Chaitanya is there, illumining. What is illumining? In Jagrata Avastha, the pure consciousness is illumining the reflected consciousness and the mind, intellect, and its vyapara, sense objects, everything. But all these things are absent because the reflected consciousness is not there. Why? In the sense the mana, mind and intellect is withdrawn. Therefore, layam yati. Therefore, manasa kriya, mind and intellect activities are not there. And therefore, when suptautu tallaye, bodha, shuddho bodha, jadyam prakashayet. The pure consciousness Sakshi in deep sleep state just illumines the avidya. Jadyam, avidya, here just it is jadatvam. The bodha illumines the ignorance in deep sleep state. Now I am studying. What is the activity given to us? What is the goal given to us? From this pure consciousness, from this reflected consciousness and pure consciousness. So the pure consciousness should be separated from the reflected one and stand aside. For that, I have to study where is this reflected consciousness is active. In Jagrata Avastha, that is in waking state and dream state. And I found out that when the mind and intellect are withdrawn, completely merged in avidya, in ignorance, at that moment, Suddha Chaitanyam is pure Chaitanyam, is only illumining the ignorance. Having understood this. Now, okay, that means what? The consciousness is illumining the ignorance in deep sleep state, and the same consciousness, witness consciousness, is illumining the waking state and the dream state. When the jiva awakes and then is engaged in activities, now Shankaracharya says, what is our sadhana now? Now we have to understand whether in Jagrata Avastha, Swapna Avastha and Sushupti Avastha, the consciousness is constant. The consciousness is always there, either in waking plane or dream plane or in deep sleep state. So consciousness is witness. Now, consciousness is witnessing the activities of the ego, the mind and intellect in the waking plane and dream state, and consciousness is simply illumining the deep sleep state, simply illumining the ignorance. Therefore, but the Sakshi Chaitanya is always present. It has no question of it, it doesn't disappear. That means what? That means now how to discover the presence of eternal consciousness, the witness consciousness in the waking plane also is the seeker's effort, seeker's job. So therefore Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, Jagare api diyah tushnim bhavah shuddhena bhasyate. Now we have to understand that pure consciousness illumining, that experience of consciousness can take place when in the waking state also, when the antakarana vrittis have stopped. It is not absence of antakarana. In deep sleep state, antakarana, mind and intellect is absent because they are merged, layam yati. But in waking plane, this consciousness can be experienced when we stop the thoughts. When the vrittis, chitta vrittis have stopped, therefore it is not absence of antakarana like in deep sleep state. So therefore, when all of them have stopped, when mind and intellect have become still, that is free of vrittis, in that extreme pure sattvic state, that antakarana which is free of vrittis, in that place all the silence of that also is illumined by the Sakshi Chaitanya, that pure consciousness. Therefore, what? Dhi vyaparastha chidbhasyaha chidabhasena samyuta. Therefore, in the silence in the mind, when we achieve in waking state, that is illumined by Sakshi Chaitanyam. Now, I can discover not in deep sleep state, I can discover in waking plane very much. When is it, how is it possible? Now I have to silence the mind. When I silence the mind, then the witnessing consciousness alone remains, and suddenly that experience comes that I am not this lower I am this capital I. That experience will come. So that means what? Shankaracharya says, Divyaparascha. So activities of the mind are illumined by consciousness in the waking plane when thoughts are present, but say when thoughts are absent, simple Sakshi Chaitanya remains. Therefore, now reflected consciousness illumines both. The condition of the mind when vrittis are there, it is illumined by witnessing consciousness. Vrittis have stopped, still it is there. So when vrittis have stopped, it will be easy for us to recognize the pure consciousness. Now, how this is possible? Tad bhasyaha, that means here the pure consciousness. So, how this is possible? Example is given. Example is given is what? Yatha vahnitaptam jalam. Just as water is heated by the fire. So, water is there, put it in a pot, and water is heated by the fire, and that hot water is suppose poured on body, it burns the body, it scalds the body. Now, hot water burns. That means what? Heat directly is not causing the burn on the body, but it heated the water, and the hot water is burning me. Similarly, the Suddha Chaitanya is actually Buddhi, which is illumined by first consciousness, that is reflected consciousness. It gains the power to illumine the thoughts and the outer world. Meaning what? It's like, if you take a bucket of water and the sun reflects in it, the reflected sun also has got the capacity to illumine. Like a mirror I take, I reflect the sun, then with that reflection I change the direction, and that reflected light also illumines the room through the window, for example. So, that means what? Sun is not directly illuminating the room, but it is reflected light is illuminating. Similarly, first the witness consciousness enters into thought like reflection as abhasa, and that in turn it reflects everything. So therefore what? Thoughts soaked in the reflected consciousness, it gains the capacity to know the objects. Therefore we say I know. I know means here a little I, ankara. Then only I say I know. So what is that? Capital I says? Capital I says I know that I know. I is small I. So I know that it is knowing all the objects outside, I know. So therefore, Shankaracharya is asking us, now I study this, that it is happening, the ego, the reflected consciousness has got the capacity to illumine the objects only drawn from the original consciousness. Richabhasa Chaitanyam by itself has not got the capacity to illumine. Like moon has not got the capacity to illumine anything on earth on its own, but it only reflects the light from the sun. So therefore, Rupadau Gunadosha Vikalpaha Buddhiga Kriyaha Ta Kriyaha Vishayasartham Bhasayanti Chitirmataha. Therefore, thought illumines the objects, no doubt about it, but certain things go along with it, Buddhi. So Buddhi is influenced by samskaras. So what is happening now? Abhasa Chaitanyam is there. It simply illumines. But Buddhi is also influenced by samskaras. Very carefully listen now. Simply the light falls into Buddhi, and Buddhi in turn illumines the objects. It's okay. There's no doubt about it. But Buddhi is not only doing that, simply illumining and keeping quiet, no problem. There is no samsara. If I just illumine, from Panchadashi, the same Vijayarani Muni says. So when I just illumine the world, there is no bondage. But the problem is, Buddhi is also influenced by samskaras, and therefore Buddhi is adulterated with ragadveshas. So when I look at the illumine the objects of the world outside, and they are actually the light rays are passing through the raga and dvesha, and therefore it is not simple illumination, it is also carrying in its womb the likes and dislikes. This is called guna dosha adi vikalpaha buddhiga kriyaha. Now, so therefore raga dvesha are not in witnessing consciousness. Raga dvesha is not in reflected consciousness also. Reflected consciousness also just illumines the objects, no doubt about it. But how come raga dveshas have come? And therefore, the cause is here nothing but samskaras, which are influencing the buddhi. Therefore, raga dveshas are in buddhi, which are buddhi kriyaha, activities of the mind. Okay. Now, afterwards, understanding, Shankaracharya says, now pure consciousness is different from this kind of raga and dveshas, which are projections of one's own buddhi. Therefore, now we have to understand raga dveshas are separate. Samskaras influence the mind, buddhi, mind, influenced by them. Raga dveshas, influenced by raga dveshas, they project with the help of this Chidabhasa reflected light, they illumine the objects. But now, what is this beautiful? Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, Kshane Kshane Anyatha Bhuta Divikalpaha. Oh, and these buddhis thoughts are Anyatha Vikalpaha, constantly changing. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna Pramati Balavadrudam Tasyaham Nigraham Manye Vayorva Sudushkaram. So Bhagavan Shankara Krishna, Arjuna says to Krishna, no, my mind is restless, chanchalam, and mana Krishna, Pramati, turbulent, Balavat, strong, and also unyielding. Dhrudam, unyielding. How can such a chanchalam my mind I can really do it? Because chitihi natu, but not the pure consciousness. The pure consciousness is free, and therefore activities and are all happening, samsara is happening in the reflected consciousness, and that in the buddhi, and the buddhi, the medium is influenced by samskaras, and all the masala is projected on the world outside. Therefore, kshade kshane anyatha bhuta. How chitihi, the pure consciousness, is not influenced. How? Here Shankaracharya gives us an example. Muktasu sutravat buddhi vikalpeshu chitistatha. Like that, muktasu, in all those pearls of garland you take, that every thought is like a pearl, for example. So, in the pearls, the muktasu sutravat, in the pearls are all joined. So, behind every pearl, you find that thread. So, like a thread passing through the entire every pearl, similarly, the consciousness behind every thought. Pratibodha viditam matam, Upanishad says. So, here muktasu sutravat buddhi vikalpeshu chitihi tatha. Similarly, just like a string behind all the pearls, similarly, the consciousness is unaffected. It is with every thought. Every thought is behind every thought, the substratum is pure consciousness, and the thought is in wherever thought is there, that whatever kind of thought, but the reflection of that pure consciousness is there, abhasa is there. So, but every thought which is carrying in its own womb raga and dvesha and supported by pure consciousness. So, every thought is like a pearl in the garland of pearls. So, therefore, but behind every thought, this pure consciousness is constant. And therefore, Muktabhiravrutam Sutram Muktayor Madhya Ikshate. Very beautiful. Now, where I can see the thread? Shankaracharya says, now very carefully, between the two pearls you can see the thread. Similarly, between two thoughts, in the gap, you must recognize this divine consciousness. Tatha vritti vikalpaihi chit pushtaha madhya vikalpayoho. Similarly, now just as between two pearls in the garland, the thread is seen. Similarly, between two thoughts, the consciousness is seen. Now, in our case, problem is high frequency of thoughts, and each thought is having high intensity. So, high intensity, intensified thoughts with great frequency, I miss the gap between two thoughts. I can say that, many thoughts are erupting in my mind, When you say many thoughts are erupting means what? One thought is different from other thought. That's why I am counting two thoughts. If two thoughts are not there, only one thought is there, then I can't count also. There is no two. But here thoughts are plenty. Meaning what? Thoughts, high frequency of thoughts are going on. At the same time, because the number I am counting, that means what? Whatever is the frequency of the thoughts, there is a gap between two thoughts. Otherwise, counting is possible now. Not possible. The gap is insignificant, very, very small gap which I cannot see because the thought flow is so fast. Therefore, तथा वृत्तिविकल्पैः चित् स्पष्टाः मध्ये विकल्पयोः मध्ये चित् स्पष्टाः. In these two thoughts, the consciousness is very, very clear, crystal clear. And therefore, what we must do now? Now here is a beautiful thing. Now what Shankaracharya says is, now our question is what? Now our task is what? How to reduce the speed of these thoughts. So our Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji very beautifully says, based on Bhagavad Gita only, he says, first to reduce the quantity of thoughts by Karma Yoga, by practicing, you are sticking to your own business of life, Dharma, and not involving in any other unnecessary things. Your Dharma, of course, towards country, towards earth, towards environment, but all understand, and you confine to your Dharma, and with the Ishvara the Bhakti, and all the fruits of action are given to Ishvara, dedicated to Ishvara, then quantity of thoughts are reduced. When the quantity is reduced, the quality can be improved through devotion, and the direction of thoughts towards Supreme are changed through knowledge, and thus after long practice, our flow, the intensity, the frequency of thoughts in the mind will get reduced. And therefore, when you get reduced, automatically mind feels so happy, and mind thoughts are frequently very low frequency. So between gap, thought and thought, there's a gap is there. You can beautifully contemplate between those two thoughts, the awareness as I, you can focus your presence on I. Therefore here, Naste Purva Vikalpetu Yavadanyasya Nodayah Nirvikalpaka Chaitanyam Spashtam Tavad Vibhasate. So beautiful here. Naste Purva Vikalpetu. When the previous thought or prior thought is subsided. When the previous thought is subsided and Anyasya Nodayah, and no new thought is not rising. This is a sadhana. The last thought is gone, no new thought is rising, and in between, then immediately, instantly, Nirvikalpaka Chaitanyam Spashtam Tavad Vibhasate. Then the pure consciousness becomes crystal clear. Our Swami Chinmayananji, our Pujya Gurudev, used to say beautifully, when last thought thoughted and no new thought thoughting, he says. And then in between the last thought thoughted, no new thought is thoughting, and he would say, don't refer dictionary, you don't find these words. And in between that, the pure awareness shines, and you can identify with that. Suddenly you will realize that I am this I am not that I, what I have been thinking all these lives. And therefore, Shankaracharya says, how to do this? Increase the gap. Beautiful. Eka dvit trikshaneshu eva vikalpasya nirodhana. Start with one movement, one kshanam. One kshanam you can stop. Thoughts are fluttering, heavy frequency. Try to stop the thoughts for 1 minute, for 1 second, one movement, one kshanam, eka kshanam. Then increase the gap to 2, dvi, then 3 kshaneshu. Evam vikalpasya nirodhana. This way we have to slowly practice the control of mind. And kramena abhyasyatam yatnat brahmanabhava kankshibhihi. Those who are desiring that experience of Brahman has to slowly practice this way, how to reduce the thoughts and how to increase the gap between the thoughts. And then what will happen because of Guru Upadesha, and what he will understand, Savikalpaka Jivoyam Brahmatan Nirvikalpakam. This Savikalpaka Jiva, the what I am talking of Jiva, the Chidabhasa, who is caught up in thoughts, suddenly wakes up and understands, I am not this reflected consciousness, I am the original. When the thoughts have subsided, the reflected consciousness merges back into the original, and then original I, big I, capital I awakens. aham brahmeti vakyena. Here I said aham brahmasi, and then suddenly you say, oh, aham brahma, because aham jiva is my experience now. I am limited entity, samsari. Now, when all these thoughts are stopped, suddenly this limited I merges in me, and this suddenly that I experience is that, oh, I am this Ananta Chaitanyam. That awakening happens after long practice. Brahmavakyena, this is the artham. So, I am artham abhidheyate. This is the idea what is taught in this text called Lahu Vakya Vritti. So, savikalpaka chidyoham brahmaikam nirvikalpakam swatasiddha vikalpaste nirodhavya prayatnataha. So, therefore, prayatnataha, savikalpaka chidyoham, the jiva who is caught up in vrittis, savikalpaka jiva, samsari jiva, is none other than aham brahma ekam brahma. That savikalpaka jiva alone is none other than pure Brahman, which is nirvikalpakam, devoid of cognitions, the pure, eternal, homogeneous bliss. Swatasiddhaha, vikalpaste, and self-evident cognitions are to be swatasiddha vikalpaha nirodhavyaha. Te vikalpaha swatasiddha vikalpaha nirodhavyaha. And all those self-evident cognitions are to be restrained. How? Prayatnataha. Therefore, mano control, mind control, not suppression, not suppression. Teaching the mind, cajoling the mind, taming the mind, using the buddhi, that is knowledge. Swabodha, manasa bodha, teaching your own buddhi, teaching your own mind. Slowly, we have to train the mind, and we have to increase the gap between the thoughts. Then alone in meditation, after long practice, silence in the heart is experienced. As Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, the heart is the place of realization, and that will happen eventually. So, Shakyaha Sarva Nirodhena Samadhi Yoginam Priyaha. So, this by total restraint, Sarva Nirodhena Samadhi Shakyaha. By total restraint of all these thoughts, it is possible for everybody to experience Samadhi, which is Yoginam Priyaha, which is very dear to yogis. Shankaracharya says that Samadhi, Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, first you will experience, afterwards Sahajavastha will come, but then you can experience the bliss in that Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is very dear to yogis. Tad asakta, okay sir, I can't do now, what can I do? In case you are not capable, Kshanam Rudva Shraddhaluhu Brahmatatmanaha. Okay, with full faith, Shraddhaluhu, practice, momentary at least restraint of thoughts, little bit, 2 minutes, 1 minute, half a second, 1 second, and try to stop the thoughts, try to divert that attention towards God. Tastvam koham kuta ayataha kame janani kome tataha. At the simple questionnaire, simple understanding, simple introspection. Start with it for moment to practice with Shraddha, with faith. The Shraddhaluhu, a man of faith, has to practice this. And thus, Shraddhalu brahmatam swasya Chintayet buddhi vrittibihi vakya vrittiya yathashaktihi jnana jnatva abhyasyatam sadha. Beautiful thing. And thus Shraddhaluhu swasya brahmatam chintayet. The Shraddhaluhu, a faithful person, should meditate on one's own infinite nature in this way. Vakya vrittiya, with the help of this vakya vritti, lahu vakya vritti, the thoughts are given, a thought is pointed out. With the help of this text of Lahu Vakya Vritti, you please, as faithful, should meditate on this. Jnatva, beautiful thing. Jnatva abhyasyatam sada. And therefore, and after known this, one should put always efforts to control the mind. To not suppress the mind, to control the mind. To discipline the mind first, to control the mind, to increase the gap between the thoughts, recognize I am that consciousness. For this, as I told you, quantity of thoughts, quality of thoughts and direction of thoughts, as Puja Gurudev used to say, through quantity of thoughts through Karma Yoga, quality of thoughts through Bhakti Yoga, and direction of thoughts is changed through Jnana Yoga. Tan Chintanam. Therefore, the homework is given to all of us, very famous sloka, Tat Chintanam, Tat Katanam, Anyonyam, Tat Prabodhanam. So meditating on that and speaking about that and mutually holding discussions on that, etadeka paratvam cha brahmabhyasam. This is what, continuously contemplating on Brahman, whatever topic we discuss, whatever vyavahara we do, behind, in and through all these things, the play of eternal consciousness should not be forgotten. And this is called Brahmabhyasam. This is called Buddhaha Viduhu. This is how the wise people have defined Brahmabhyasam, Tat Chintanam, Tat Kathanam, Anyonya Tat Prabodhanam. So, Deha, beautiful last one. Dehatmadivat Brahmatmadihi Dharje Krutakrutchata. Very beautiful. Now, why is fulfillment in one's life? One's life fulfillment is, now as I am thinking very clearly, I am the body, no doubt about it. As I am so convinced now I am the body, similarly, because the I am the body thought is dhrada, very, very firm, clear. Similarly, I am not this body, I am that Brahman. That experience becomes very clear. So, Dehatmadivad Brahmatmadihi. Now, Ayatma Buddhi, I am Brahma. Similar, when I am in body, very clear, no doubt about it, that I am the body. As one would feel when he is in body, I am the body. Similarly, one's conviction is now that I am Brahman. Once this is attained, this is Krutakrutchata. So, this is the end of the text. Yadatadayam riyata muktoso nata samsaya. And such a person, whenever he dies, he attains the supreme. Iti Srimad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyasya Sri Govinda Bhagat Pujyapada Sishyasya Srimad Shankara Bhagavatah Krutau Lahu Vakya Vrittihi Sampurna. This is how Bhagavan Shankaracharya concluded. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Thank you, Swamiji, for for beautifully explaining to us how to control the mind and not to suppress thoughts. So a lot of people and our viewers were asking this question: and how do I reduce the number of thoughts? Which you, of course, very beautifully explained. That you improve the quality of your thoughts, you reduce the quantity of your thoughts, and so on. It's actually, you've answered all our questions. Really, it's wonderful. There's just one question perhaps you can answer, which is one of the. Could you please give the difference between Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman? That's one question. In case you want to pick it up, I mean, we have still some time.
Saguna Brahma, Nirguna Brahma. Saguna, along with qualities. Like Ishvaraha, Sarvavyapi. You can meditate. Upasana is required. First, Saguna Upasana is required to purify the mind. So I contemplate on that Ishvara, that Brahman, who is associated with Maya is called Ishvara. Ishvara is Saguna Brahma. Who is Saguna Brahma? He has qualities. So in all our sampradayas, different sampradayas, there are so many qualities. Parama Karunamaya, Prema Maya, or in Vedanta we say Sarva Vyapi, Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Gnaha, Sarva everything. So many qualities are there. Contemplating on these qualities, who is all possessed by Ishvara. So our devotion towards Ishvara will increase. And when our devotion towards Ishvara increases, mind becomes purified. And then afterwards, when mind purified, mind becomes still antarmukham. When you become antarmukhi, ultimately the Ishvara is realized as you. The Ishvara is Brahman alone, the Brahman is you. When Nirguna Brahma, there is no qualities, nothing. No guna, vishesha, kriya, sambandha, nothing is there. It is only one homogeneous, pure consciousness, eternal. Nobody can speak about it. It is your own self. You have to silently experience it. Full stop.
Swamiji, although you explained to us very well, some of our listeners want to, they have requested you that can you please repeat the 3 sentences regarding the types of yoga for purification of various aspects. I mean, in case we just want to quickly go through what the 3 sentences were, 3 yoga. The what karma yoga.
Okay. Now see,
karma yoga, bhakti
yoga, right. Very simple. Karma yoga, the first qualification is one should know what are one's responsibilities having taken human birth. There are certain specific responsibilities confined to your own karma. There are certain responsibilities towards country, towards Pitrus, towards Devatas, towards ecology, towards globe, towards society, and all the responsibilities. Paramacharya, Chandrasekhar Samarth Paramacharya says that, Parivar, he says that when you understand your own dharma perfectly and try to follow, you will be left with no time to destroy yourself, he says. Such a karma first we should do with what? Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. I am only an ambassador of Ishvara. Whether whatever we are, you bring that feeling. I am an ambassador of Ishvara. I am given this job. I am in this life. I have given my husband, wife, children, or ashram, or people, or people. This one. This is my responsibilities, and this I must do, and everything surrendered to Lord. Once you do this, within 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, you will find mind becomes pure, calm, quiet. You start rebelling, karma yoga, and bring about devotion. Devotion is Atmarpana Buddhi. So many devotions. The Navavidha Bhakti is there. Love for Brahman, love for Ishwar, love for Guru. That love actually wells up, and with that love, and you become more purified. And every day, at least you should spend at least minimum 15 minutes in Vedantic studies. 15 मिनट सॉरी 15 मिनट के लिए बैठ के कुछ शास्त्र पढ़ना. Something today Bhagavad Gita one sloka, next day second sloka, third sloka, like that you complete whole Bhagavad Gita in 2 years. Again take up another book, Ramayana, Mahabharata, anything you take. Every day, just as you can't survive without breakfast, lunch, dinner, you should not go to bed without studying at least some book. Continue that book studies. 1, 2, 3 page today, 4, 5, 6 tomorrow, 7, 8, 9 a day of tomorrow. Complete the book. Before completing, another book is selected. Like that, nirantara you do. And I tell you how much you will grow spiritually, I can't explain. So this is how karma, jnana, bhakti, we practice it. Then the knowledge, the path opens to you.
Thank you very much, Swamiji, for explaining to us very clearly how reflected consciousness and Sakshi consciousness, pure consciousness, how they work, and how we can in our daily lives practice to attain this knowledge. Thank you very much
for coming
to
Advaita Academy for giving this opportunity. Thanks to Advaita Academy for giving this opportunity. Best of luck to all participants. May God bless you all participants and their families. May you all be blessed immensely with divine love and divine grace in you and your families. Thank you very much. Hari Om.